Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to YPE. Today, I would like to touch on one of the important issues and also rather pressing issue, which is on bridging the productivity gap and building economic resilience in our nation. The last 7 years have presented challenging times for our nation. During this period, our GDP growth is averaging around 1.1%. And also our country has experienced back-to-back 2 years of economic recession, which is a lot, and also presented a lot of negative impact on the nation and its people entirely. And also, I would like also to touch on the unemployment aspect, which increased to an all-time high of about 56% in the year 2020, pushing around 133 million Nigerians into multidimensional poverty. I want to stop here and just look at the numbers and dissect what is going on. Can you, in your wildest dream, imagine 133 million souls being pushed into poverty? We're not talking about states, we're not talking about local governments, we're not talking about communities, we're not talking about group, we're not talking about ethnics. This is a number you can't compare to an entire country. There are a lot of countries in Europe, Asia, and even Africa, to be precise, that the entire population is not even up to that number. This is a huge number we are talking about. Hence why the negative impact on the country, and hence why people are feeling all sorts of negative impacts, because the numbers are huge. We are talking about 133 million Nigerian souls living in poverty. 133 million. I mean, one cannot even start to imagine the astronomical impact, which, to be clear, is all negative, that we will have in our country, and this will bring to our country. No amount of slow steps, baby steps, that can bring relief to such calamity. Because we are not talking about the percentage in thousands or in 100,000s. If there is, or let's say there are 1 million people living in poverty, that's already a great problem to have. 1 million people living in poverty, because uplifting those people is a great task. It's a huge, it will take a huge effort and dedication to uplift those people from the trenches of poverty. But to think of 133 million souls in a nation that is underdeveloped, living in such extreme conditions, is beyond reasoning, is beyond comprehension. And it's a very sad situation that we are facing. Also, according to the latest data of the National Bureau of Statistics, economic growth has not been that well. The Nigerian economy is facing key challenges of lower productivity, weak expansion of sectors such as unemployment, electricity. Another key feature also is that in the last 7 years there has been shift of economic activity towards agriculture by the previous government, and hence in doing so slow down the manufacturing sector, which is, in my own opinion, is a huge risk, because we live in a country and a society that are not ready to follow such steps. There is no foundation. There are also no genuine steps, or any actions that or plan that's being put into place in order to pursue that path. So, all in all, the thing is all chaos. Abandoning the manufacturing sector, is a huge error. It's a huge blunder from the previous government, because let's face it, with the issues of insecurity, instability of our country, pushing our citizens into agriculture. And don't get me wrong, agriculture is a very, very, very important sector that a country can depend on. But let's be clear, for every solid plan to be perfectly executed, you have got to have a plan to execute that plan. You have got to put in solid steps in order to go down through that road, which we all know, can't lie to ourselves. We are no way near those plans or those tangible procedures, So the issue here is, if we are not ready, I don't see the reason or the reasoning behind putting all our legs in one basket, trying to push this agenda of we must go back to agriculture entirely, because with the amount of mineral resources we have in our nation, a lot of job opportunities would have been provided by enhancing the manufacturing sector. which will also lead to boosting our import and export capacity, which directly or indirectly will have a positive impact on the GDP of our country. So I don't understand the lack of readiness or the lack of willingness of the government in pursuing all these necessary steps. Make no mistake, under these circumstances, there is no amount of relief that will be felt by our citizens. Because if you look at the ratio, the numbers don't lie. Because it's like putting a drop of water on a pile of sand. It will have no positive impact. Even at the top of the pyramid, only a few percentage will feel the relief. So I'm saying Nigerians are hardworking. They are intelligent, they are hardworking, they are resilient. If you provide a sector where they will nourish in, not just the people, but the entire country will benefit from such good and important attributes to have. And the best, currently the best, in my own opinion, so as to say, I think if we try to revive our manufacturing sector, bring it back to life, put in a solid state, we can attract a lot of foreign investors. I'm not saying the government should handle everything. The government needs to pump in all the money, do the planning, execution and everything. No. All I'm saying is if the government can put in necessary steps that are genuine, they are genuinely willing to uplift its citizens, I'm assuring you, we will attract a lot of investors because we have all the necessary and required ingredients to succeed. And I'm not saying that nobody has ever even know these things, or I'm the only one that is seeing all these flaws. What I'm saying is collectively we need to have a strong voice to be highlighting these issues, shed lights on these issues. We don't just leave one or two individuals to be making all the effort. Collectively, we need to join hands together, we as the citizens, and and push this agenda. If there is one thing that the politicians have taught us, is that your chances of winning are only as good as you standing together. So we need to stand together as citizens, because that's the only thing, that's the only option we are left with. So we stand together, join hands, and push this agenda ourselves. We can leave these important aspects to the representatives in the House. We can leave this to the senators. And show us how we can leave this to the government itself, to hand the federal government. We have to wake up, stand on our feet, and fight for the betterment of our future, for the betterment of our country, and for the future of our younger generations and our children. We are being taught right from the early ages that we are the leaders of tomorrow, we are the leaders of tomorrow. That does not necessarily mean you have to be in a position of power to contribute or to lead. You know, positive changes require a lot of effort. They require commitment. They require resilience. So let's join hands. Let us all put our differences aside. The thing that should unite us is the thought of building our nation, taking our country into a better place, taking our country to the promised land. So we should unite ourselves and become one big positive voice of change, so that we can make sure we use that voice to hold anyone accountable. And we make sure we keep them in checks, so that we will not allow people to drift away from the positive path. And with this, I would like to plead with all our people. It doesn't matter from which tribe you are, from which part of the country you are, what is your religion, what are your beliefs, what you stand on. That we should put all that aside. The goal should be putting our country first, building our nation, and making sure we secure a better future for our children, for the upcoming generation, and we deliver our country from these challenging times. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Peace.